So again, it seems that YouTube's a bit too loud, so I'll turn it down a bit further. There we are. This should be a good level. Now, this may just be a test, but I do have a couple things I want to talk about. Firstly, how's everyone? How's everyone? This has been complete chaos here. Where I'm from Australia. I'm from Melbourne, and COVID has been fucking losing its shit again. We have more lockdowns, more of this shit. We've just been inside all the time, and it's a bit shit. I'm a bit worried. Well, a bit would be a bit of an understatement. Like, this is a big issue. However, I do have to admit, guilty pleasure of mine are these lockdowns, because I like staying home and doing dumb shit. Like this whole stream, like this whole thing I didn't need to do, but I chose to. And I've been very, very inactive on YouTube because I don't really have anything to post. I've been trying to think of ideas. Originally, I wanted to do some video games and some streams. I'm still learning how to use this beautiful program called OBS. I'm learning still. It's a bit of a learning curve for me. I've always used Bandicam, I think I used, Bandicam, and it's shit. It's just no. But I will say this: Bandicam, despite being shit, is really easy to use, and that's why it's so appealing to heaps of people, new users to this kind of thing. And before the rise of like online YouTube gaming, you have all these videos where everyone would do like screen recording, and they'd have that goddamn watermark up the top all the time, and it was so funny, but so shit. And OBS allows me to do this, where I can have all these overlays and all this awesome shit, and as soon as I work all this out, this will be amazing. I'll be able to stream pretty much anything. I'm very excited. But back on the topic of COVID, I do understand this is a very tough time for all of us, and trying to remain as neutral as possible on this kind of talking session. I don't want to get into the politics of COVID, because we all know that things can start to get a little aggressive, and I just want to keep this be chill. I want to be largely ideologically neutral for this, and that is an issue for me because I love politics, but I think for now this is probably the best option. In future that might change when I'm talking about more objective topics, but for now it seems that the talk around COVID is quite clouded, and I don't want to get involved too much. I'm just sitting at home and hoping this all turns out good. That's all I can do, hope, because I'm 16 and I barely even have any choice in what happens. I just try to work, try to have conversations with friends, try to have a good time at home the best I can, and it seems that I'm doing alright so far. And it's been over 2 years, it feels like, right? It's been a long time. It's been at least a year of lockdowns and COVID in general. It's just been a bit of a journey for all of us, and I feel like it's time to kind of look back. We've seen so much happen over these last 2 years. It's been incredible. It's been insane. These years will go down as some of the craziest years for a long time, I think. And not to discredit like the 1940s and the 20s, but shit has definitely hit an all-time low. There are heaps of countries who are out of COVID for the most part, like the Nordic countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland. I think Denmark, probably Iceland. They all seemed to be out of it, and there's heaps of things that they're doing differently to us. So you could pretty much argue anything. you could say that the reason they're out of lockdown is because of all the vaccines. That's a potential point. Or you could say it's because of the healthcare. You could say heaps of shit. So I don't want to get into that, but more I want to say that I'm really jealous. I'm jealous of the people living in Sweden and shit who can go outside and breathe fresh air without a mask and have parties and just enjoy life like it was before. Obviously, I do wear a mask. It's just law. There are moral reasons that everyone has, but for me, the main reason is I don't really hate wearing one. I'm kind of neutral towards it. It's not a huge issue for me. It's not that hard. People say that they can't breathe in masks, and that's also valid. There are definitely ups and downs to every system that's been implemented to fight COVID, and it's been quite crazy because of that. And a couple things I do have to clear up are, one, the best thing we can do is not freak out, okay? Because if you freak out, you cause chaos, you cause uncertainty, and you start to cause violence. And it's been shown in the past that isn't how we solve issues. The best thing we can do to solve issues is find a middle ground and find a good solution, whether that be socially, medically, whatever. And that applies to COVID. So, for the most part, it kind of annoys me seeing people get in fights about this because you aren't achieving anything. You can try to change someone's personal opinion, but you haven't achieved real change. You haven't gotten us closer to fixing this issue. Another thing that is important to me is looking at how countries deal with outbreaks such as COVID. For instance, I recall back a while ago, Italy had a huge outbreak. It was one of the worst countries for COVID. I saw a video where people were all out on their balconies of their apartments. Someone was playing songs and stuff. And I think that's something that we need to adopt. That even though times are tough for all of us, we try to make the most out of it. And we try to stay as connected while being safe. That's out of the way. That's the very obligatory COVID section because it's possibly the most important thing happening worldwide. Oh, and there's also the Taliban. If you aren't aware, the Taliban is a group of, I think they're Afghan, and they were originally funded by the US to fight off the Soviets, or not the Soviets, I think it was the communists from invading Afghanistan, and they succeeded. Then what happened is things kind of took a turn for the worst, and now here we are, they've taken over the capital. Now obviously this is another topic where things can get very, very violent and very political, which I love, but I will refrain for now. In the future, that will probably change. And on the topic of Italy, COVID, and the Nordic countries, I'd just like to show some appreciation for the lesser explored, visited countries of Europe, because Europe's a beautiful, beautiful place. There are heaps of brilliant places that people go on vacation for and they fly to, and those places usually consist of maybe top 5, I would guess Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, maybe Poland, or maybe Germany. In fact, the top 5 most visited countries in Europe are as follows. We have France in first, Spain in second, Italy third, UK fourth. I forgot about the UK, and then Turkey fifth, which is actually interesting. I didn't expect Turkey. Then sixth is Germany, seventh is Austria. Now, from what I recall, the least visited European country is Moldova. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like Europe's parts like Spain or Italy or the UK as much as I love Eastern Europe. Countries such as Belarus, Romania, Ukraine, especially Moldova and Russia, I all love all of those. And I think that comes from my fascination with history, because all of the countries like Italy and UK and Spain, France, all the popular spots are designed to be tourist spots. I think that if you visit a place like the capital, even like Milan in Italy, you aren't getting the full experience, because what you see is what they want you to see of their country. They don't show you all the best parts, and the best parts are the real people who live in neighborhoods, who live just like us, like paycheck to paycheck. And the amount of heart in these people, and how much they appreciate being visited by people from outside of Europe, being appreciated is much greater than someone from Spain or France. There's this one YouTuber that I watch called Bald and Bankrupt, and they are amazing. They are amazing. Before COVID flight bans, they would travel all over Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, such as Russia and Ukraine, and they went to Moldova once, Belarus too, and they interact with all of the locals, and it's truly magical, surprisingly, because again, they're real people. And try not to let a language or cultural barrier prevent you from learning about maybe Ukrainian culture or Russian culture and history and food. I love like Russian, Ukrainian food a lot. Since Ukraine and Russia have very close ties from the Soviet Union, which I think collapsed in 1991, they're still kind of splitting apart. So it'll be hard to tell the difference between a neighborhood in maybe Donetsk to one on the outer reaches of St. Petersburg, and that's because they were originally one large alliance. So the food, culture, not language though. Everyone says that Ukrainian and Russian sound the same. They really don't. They're very different languages, and as someone who has dipped their toes into learning both Ukrainian and Russian, just trust me, alright? They aren't the same at all. They use the Cyrillic alphabet. That's the only real thing they share in common. Even their accent, they have different letters, even like... Saying that Ukrainian and Russian are the same because they look similar, it's like saying Spanish and English are the same because they use Latin symbols. It's just isn't the case, but I've dipped my toes into both Ukrainian and Russian "Я на тебе никогда не женюсь", and I need to stress this. It's amazing. Like, Jesus Christ. Russia and Ukraine and Belarus are largely underrated. People just brush them off as being some dirty suburbs with some druggos who get in a punch-ons, and that might be true in some cases. But that's just the beauty of it, because you get such an experience that you can't get anywhere else. Now, back on the topic of food, I am a bit of a cook myself. I'm currently working as both a pastry chef and I guess an everyman at a fish and chips place. I love to cook, in fact. I make soups and I make stir fries all the time. I baked bread once, that was amazing. But one thing that's always stuck with me is the one time I made Ukrainian borscht for my dad, brother and I. It's a soup that is built from, like, you know, your normal onion, carrot, celery, beef tri-tip, and beetroots. It has a beautiful, like, red, purpley colour to it, and it's amazing. And that's when my interest in Ukrainian and Russian, like, Eastern European cuisine really jumped up, because it's such a different, divine experience. Like, think of, like, Italian cuisine. The first thing you think of are, like, pasta, like carbonara and aglio e olio. But we've all had that, right? We've all had Italian food. We've all had, I would hope, French food. We've all tried this, but not a lot of people have really explored the potential of the food that comes from Eastern Europe. And Eastern Europe overall tends to be like the one fat kid with freckles and short hair who everyone picked on. What I'm saying is, people have a bad impression of Eastern Europe. Again, everyone just thinks, oh, it's a bunch of alcoholic Russian dudes punching each other at pubs and, like, dirt roads and shit. And again, that is true sometimes. But I guess I'm going in circles a bit. Please give Eastern Europe a chance. And this has probably been very interesting to hear from me, seeing as I haven't really ever covered geography in the past, or my passion for it. I think it's a very interesting topic, and you can get a lot of good out of investigating it. See, I've been doing a couple geographical and historical deep dives, and at school I did take a global health class, and the subject of global health allows you to not only look at other places in the world, but look into why things are how they are there. Such as how Lake Chad was drained, and now it's a shithole there. Chad is one of the least inhabited countries on Earth, respective to its size, and it's just insane. Like, do you know a person from Chad or Cameroon? No. It's largely unpopulated there. Even the largest cities in, like, Central Africa aren't that impressive. And you look into why things are like this. It's because of water, trades, heat. There are several factors that go into a country's success. And unfortunately, Africa is seen as the least successful continent overall, which I agree with, but it's not as bad as everyone thinks. Same case with Eastern Europe too. Eastern Europe's amazing. So is Africa. I really love every country for a different reason, but especially African countries on both the east and south coast, I do love. And usually when people want to travel to Africa, they'll travel to one of two places, which is usually either Egypt or Madagascar, one of two, and that's a bit shit. It is true that some African countries can have quite savage tribes, and I try not to think about that because you can travel Africa and be safe and enjoy it. I love those African tours where you get driven around in a car and you get to see the wildlife, completely untouched by humans other than some dirt roads and maybe the occasional hut. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and I suppose this all comes from a fear that a lot of us have that eventually in the future places like that won't exist. Places where nature consumes all and humans haven't touched won't exist soon. Even in the most uninhabitable parts of the Western Sahara or like Burkina Faso, there will eventually be a lack of life, of animal life, plant life, and nature's beauty, which is also why European countries such as Serbia and Romania I love a lot, because they are touched by humans quite a lot. They have heaps of cities, heaps of towns, heaps of roads, farms, but they're still beautiful. Africa, it's tricky to say the same because they only meet one of those points, which is that they're beautiful. It can be quite empty, which I guess contradicts what I said about there being a lack of people, but you can still enjoy nature and, enjoy seeing beautiful beaches and deserts without having to be alone, which is why I really also enjoy living near the coast of Australia. Australia's beaches are some of the best in the world. I think they're just beautiful, and to live only like 20 minutes away from a beach is just awesome. More like 30 actually, 30. And hey, it's important to recognize that there are more beaches in the world than the same 8 or 10 you hear about all the time. And there are more countries, more people. In fact, the majority of people in the world haven't even been online. Actually, no. Online as in Facebook, YouTube and shit. Because a majority of people reside in Asia. Asia, I believe, houses nearly 3 billion, maybe 4 billion people, which is almost half of the Earth's population. And for being such a large continent, I can see why. Some of the most successful cities come from Asia, such as Beijing, Tokyo, Seoul, and several more. They come from Asia. Asia's kind of like a beacon in our world. And then you go to the kind of western parts of Asia where you have all the stands. You have Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Oh, God help me, I've forgotten one. But all those countries, they're so different to, China. It's right next to them, and then you head left from Kazakhstan and you're in Eastern Europe. They're a very interesting place, especially Kazakhstan's always been a point of interest for me because, again, who I mentioned earlier, Bald and Bankrupt, the British traveller YouTuber, he has visited Kazakhstan, I think, several times, and it's really unique. All these countries may look very samey at first, but once you get in there yourself, you can just see how different and unique and amazing all of them are. Now, every country does have its flaws, especially ones in the Middle East, whether that be economically or peacefully, like wars. Think of the Israel-Palestine conundrum. That's still happening, I think. And now with the Taliban, you see, it's not a very peaceful place. It has heaps of conflict, especially with North America. So it's really tricky for a lot of people to see past that, but I genuinely do. I genuinely think that the most realistic experience of the world can be gained from visiting the least visited countries. Because again, those big countries, those big tourist spots, they only show you what they want you to see. They only show you the best parts of their country. Whereas the countries that don't receive really any tourism, think of just off the top of my head, maybe Libya. They don't worry about that. They don't have big cities and shows and concerts and shit to impress travelers, to impress tourists. They don't care. And that's the best part. Because if you go on a vacation to Italy, it'll likely go something like this. You arrive at the airport, you unpack all your bags, and you get driven to a hotel. You book in for a week, or maybe you've already booked, beforehand. And you go in your room, you have a TV, aircon, mini fridge, 2 beds, a bathroom, accessories, and then you get free breakfast, and then you go on wine tours and shit, and then you go for boat rides, and then you head to the beach and maybe mountains if you're feeling adventurous, and that all sounds good. But I would much prefer an experience in maybe somewhere in Russia or Ukraine or Romania, Belarus. There goes something a bit more like this. You fly in, you get driven to your place where you're staying. Say I'm staying in maybe Donetsk, which is my personal favorite Ukrainian city. I'm staying there, and then I go for a drive, a nice big drive down south. And the further south you go, the less city you see, and the more countryside, rural areas start to appear. And I really do think that's where the true overseas experience lies. Talking to people who not only have the wisdom of 1,000 years, but also have the experience of living in some of the best and worst places. So, to me, I really highly value history and people over tourism when it comes to seeing beautiful places. I mean, obviously, all of us would love to travel to Iceland or Greenland because it's just beautiful, right? But I really do want to get the best of both worlds. In fact, in the future, it might be possible that I'll travel to Ukraine or Iceland and I'll take videos. I'll do a series because I do really think that YouTube is a great tool. It's great for documenting your life and sharing it. I mean, obviously you choose, unlike Facebook, but you get to choose what you show. You get to put up travel vlogs and shit like this, shit I'm doing here, and you get to keep it somewhere, which is great because obviously if I was traveling to Ukraine, I'd want people to see it and be immersed, because obviously it would be kind of wasteful to not, in my eyes. I mean, even just like bringing a cheap camera and taking photos is just brilliant, because not a lot of people do it. There are towns on Google Earth in Russia and Ukraine and Moldova that don't have any street view or any pictures, none at all. And you search them up on YouTube and you find like 3 videos of like old school concerts and old parties and weddings, and that's all there is. And I think that we can change that. We can allow people to explore, to choose to explore the world from their computer on Google Earth, VR, YouTube, or to choose to go out there in person and really get a taste of the large part of this world that people don't really talk about. In fact, my friend Cody lives in Ukraine. They're a good friend of mine. We are on a Discord server, and the town they're from doesn't have any photos or street view at all. He has internet access though, of course. But just places like that haven't really been documented or seen by enough people to be fully appreciated for their beauty. And I'm gonna be honest, to me, beauty is a snowy town in the winter in Ukraine. That to me is beauty. Or maybe in the most northern parts of Russia on that weird island that's kind of shaped like Nepal a bit, where there aren't any photos at all, except for like two I've seen. What is that island called? I'll check. Here, we're on Google Earth right here. I'll just check if this is working. Please excuse this. Yes, it's working. Okay. Here is Russia. This is the island right here. What's it called, eh? It was just there, mate. Come on. Yeah. Severny Island. What's that say there? It's bloody far away. Ostrov Severny. Okay. Here we are. This is the island I was talking about. You go here. No bloody street view anywhere. Like, no blue circles or lines anywhere. Even at this like place here, is there any at all? No, look, none. It's just sad. Let's say we head to Ukraine. Let me just straighten out here. Maybe we head. Maybe we head to Odessa. Even. See all these blue lines? These are all street view. Let's go. south a bit. See? Less street view. The further out you go, the less you get. There isn't a single one here. Not a single one. Not a single picture. So let's just head to this random ass town here. We have 3 spots. 3 spots here. Let's check all of them out and see what life is really like here. This is what I mean, the true capture of what life is like for a lot of people. This actually looks quite cool. Here we go. That's the Ukrainian flag, you got the blue on top. There it is. This photo is from, please excuse my butch reading, okay. Volodymyr Uzunov. Volodymyr Uzunov. There you go. Thank you. What else is there here? I wonder. So this is what I mean. This is just one instance. What is life really like for these people? Here you go. Something I've noticed in Ukraine is that its buildings are very strangely painted. Look at this very aggressive green here. That's something I've kind of picked up in heaps of towns. I've seen that. There's also a quick story about Ukraine's longest city. I think it's called Kryvyi Rih. Where is it? Here it is. This is apparently like one of the longest cities in Ukraine, or like apparently like it's described as being absurdly long. Where does it start and end though? Hold on. I can click on it and see. Yeah, look at that shit. It goes over here too. Look, it has a huge split, and then it goes all the way over here. Look at that. Damn, how long is this? Oh, man. Come on. Oh. Technical difficulties, mate. Look at that. 69.43 kilometers long. That's insane. So this is like one. There's like a video on YouTube called like Ukraine's absurdly long city, and this kind of thing interests me a lot because you head down here. Let's have a quick little look around here, yeah? This is in the main city, and Google hasn't taken the courtesy to record Street View, the arseholes, so looks like everyone else has taken it into their own hands. Let's have a look at some of these pictures and see what life is like here. Wow. See, this to a lot of people is just gross, right? It's like, why would I want to visit here? This is stupid. Yeah, this is literally a bog. Like, why would you want to visit here? Because not enough people do. I love this kind of thing. I love it a lot. And just my passion for this topic has really grown over the years. My old YouTube videos are really dumb. They're like old recordings of me opening up Pokemon cards and shit, and I'm keeping them up because it's beautiful. But in the future, do expect some travel / geography based content from me, especially now that I'm a bit active again, and I hope that I can find some people who will enjoy seeing this from me. And even in future, I will be playing games. I'm ordering a VR headset soon. I'm going to be getting an Oculus Quest 2 as soon as it's out again. So do expect some Oculus Quest 2 recordings and content from that. I have so much I want to unpack, but I feel like this video's gone on for quite a long time. Just one last thing. To all my viewers, thank you for watching all this, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Leave a suggestion if you'd like, and I will do pretty much anything. I have all the time in the world because of COVID and lockdowns, all the time in the world, so I'll be happy to make content that can make someone smile or can entertain someone. But this is for me. This is for me to have an outlet where I can talk about things on my mind and discuss topics and stuff. Lots of stuff. So expect more stuff in the future, and I'll see all you guys whenever I see you next. My speech impediment's really shit. I know. It's bad when I film, but I'll see you guys when I see you next.